Good Sunday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center with more severe weather coverage as we're now tracking some severe thunderstorm warnings as we get further off toward the Big Bend in southern Georgia now. One warning there in play for parts of Gadsden as well as Liberty, Decatur, and Seminole in our covered area until about 6:30, and then another warning further off toward the north. This one just issued in the last few moments here, really, as we get toward parts of Decatur and Grady counties until 7:15. At 6:10, a severe thunderstorm was located near West Bainbridge or near Bainbridge, moving east at about 25 miles an hour. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail, the possibility there. Storm to the south has the potential to produce hail up to about quarter size and 60-mile-an-hour winds as well. As this is actually more of what we were expecting to be the more primary threat here, though we ended up having a bunch more warnings than we were expecting further off toward north central northeast Florida earlier on. As we had a bunch of isolated storms able to get into toward that hail potential there and produce some hail down toward the surface even. So this is actually what we're expecting more of the severe threat to kind of materialize at this time period. And that's what we're starting to see now. Granted, I think the most potent storm might actually be one without a warning on it now. As we're getting closer toward the Liberty, Gaston, Leon County line here, you see some really high reflectivity values, maybe some larger hail toward Blue Creek Road here. And this could end up getting closer as we kind of track it. You see the significant weather advisory box on it. That could get closer to Tallahassee here over the next little bit, depending on how quick it moves, before it may end up falling apart like some of the other storms have. So, and as I say that, we just got a new warning issue just now, so it's about to pop up. And actually, they're saying it's going to go more north. Oh, okay, that's strange. So they're tracking it east, but the polygon's going north. So I think what they're trying to say by this is they're just putting everything down here in one warning. And what they mean is the movement's not very fast. So it's not going to actually get into toward Tallahassee downtown necessarily in the next little bit. But the way they drew this warning, they're kind of warning for this accident here all up and down the line, including that area to the south as it moves off toward the east. So a little bit confusing there. The movements on these storms have been kind of strange today, so that's why it's a little confusing, especially toward the first coast with all the different boundaries we were seeing there. Still have some of that accent here, but a little more of a dominant direction, I would think, out of this accent here. Overall, further on off here, maybe moving more toward the east. But again, this is the whole line now being a warning for, and that's why the box it looks like it's north, but it's just the orientation here, kind of a little bit unusual. But this area down here looks to be the most potent, as we were just referring to County Road 267 here in this purple area, just the east there of Hosford there. And then you can see toward Gaston County, toward I-10, some nasty wind could be in there right now. That's a pretty nasty little signature developing. Every time I'm maybe getting some rotation, by the way, as storms were trying to come together here. And I'm maybe starting to see that, folks. We got to be careful here. A quick spin-up tornado could be trying to develop right now as we get toward Gadsden County around Annie B. Jackson Lane, around Little Sycamore Road. We could have a quick spin-up tornado, so be ready. And hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully we don't get this threat to materialize. But it could have a really quick spin-up brief tornado down toward the surface here in Gadsden County, and maybe trying to develop on us here as we have these storms kind of try to merge together here. Sometimes we get these when these storms try to merge together, maybe a quick spin-up tornado trying to develop within all of this. Just have to be kind of careful when you have wind shifting like that. So again, Annie B. Jackson Lane could have something there. In toward Gaston County, some strong winds out toward Chattahoochee. And if you notice, the other warning to the north, we just got a gust of 41 at the Decatur County Industrial Airport. So not severe necessarily, but still a nasty, could knock out a little bit of power. So again, just got to be careful there. I know if you're watching from Thomasville, you have the accent kind of toward your north there and toward your south and west, and a little bit of something toward the east. Not severe there, but we'll continue to watch things. Kind of a unpredictable environment that we're dealing with, here today. Again, we saw more of that with the extreme energy values toward the east. They're not quite as high out here, but the overall parameters here are more favorable for wind hazards versus hail hazards. So we did have some smaller hail reported over Mariana. Looked like we could have had bigger hail on radar, but haven't seen the reports for that, at least as of yet. But obviously it could take a little bit for the reports to come in. So got to continue to track things very carefully as we have some of this hail potential sowing on up here toward Liberty, Leon, Gaston County line area there. And again, you see toward the north here, these storms up toward Bainbridge and Cairo. You're seeing some of this action there. I know the warning was issued as I kind of try to give you that current viewpoint. The warning was issued for the area near West Bainbridge at 610 or near Bainbridge, moving off toward east at 25 miles an hour. So, got to be watching things carefully. Looking at upscale growth, you really see the upscale growth there toward the storm down toward the south. So, got to be careful there as we're looking there toward parts of it looks like far southwestern Leon County right now, more rural areas. But you see, we're really getting that upscale growth. Some looks like some inflow, and that was a hail signature I think we were just looking at right there, right around County Road 267. So gotta watch for that. Let's go back to the north to see how the rotation looks in Gadsden. You can see how it's there. Maybe not really tight, but there's something there on County Road 269. Just have to make sure we don't get a quick spin up on us, because when these storms merge, it's about the prime time for that. Though I think that thread here, it'll start to be decreasing here over the next few moments as these storms really starting to consolidate a little bit more with the wind directions here. But again, going to continue to watch things carefully, continue to track the scenario. I know if you're watching further to the east, it's been all about areas further to the east. I know I'm looking right outside right now. As I pop up the broad view, the word started, the sun's coming out. Now that could actually help to keep some instability values up. I know as we look here, the instability is falling off quite a bit toward north central Florida, but still over 1,000 joules per kilogram. You see some of these areas in red. Doesn't mean the storms are going to form there, but it just means energy's around. If you have some other mechanisms, but over 3,000 joules per kilogram. I know you don't maybe understand what that means, but it's just more energy for the storms to feed off of. One of the many parameters storms can use here in these different environments. So again, you see our 3 yellow boxes right now off toward the west do have the severe weather risk here in play. They go ahead and top that up on the SPC. Again, seeing some stuff develop further south of that than maybe we were expecting here toward the first coast and northern Florida earlier on, but this is actually closer. Granted, some of it's on the edge of it too, but a little bit more what we were expecting is severe weather threat off toward the Big Bend and southwestern Georgia here in this environment. So again, continuing to watch things carefully out here. This is where the models are showing more of the organized action. We're starting to see that come into play now on this Sunday evening, this Easter evening, as many of you may be headed back for work or school tomorrow, and you're catching these storms at the most inopportune time potentially. So we got to watch things carefully. It looks like that area is kind of broadening out now in Gadsden. As you see the wind speeds there kind of relaxing some. At least the gate-to-gate wind speeds, we're seeing some areas of wind towards Chattahoochee there, about 40 miles an hour. Looks like a downburst there maybe as we look at this right now in the Gadsden. Let's see. That could be a downburst signature. They're trying to emerge there south of Greensboro. We'll just have to watch there, see how things develop as we interpret the radar imagery for you to protect you, your friends, and your family. I know, just trying to give you guys the very latest information here. We're checking all of our different sources. I know there's been more of an organized threat off toward the west here today. Granted, it's been pretty organized in our area here. The stuff's popped up from time to time and then faded away, but it's been pretty rampant here. But you see off toward the westward, so the thunderstorm watch is in play. One of them goes is, we look off toward the west. That one goes until about 7 o'clock Central Time. The other one until about 10 o'clock Central Time. And you see thunderstorm warnings, including a bunch of hail reported right around Jackson, Mississippi. Hinds County, there are reported 2.5 inch size hail there around Jackson and that area there by a storm spotter, about tennis ball size hail. So nasty weather out there. But back to the local viewpoint again. You see our more potent storm seems to be there in southwestern Leon County, or maybe as our radar kind of displaced a little on some different views. So gotta keep that in mind. Sometimes the radar displaces things just a little bit, so things could be a little bit off of where they actually look on street level. You kind of have to give yourself a margin for error. The Weather Service does that, of course, with the warning polygons when they issue them. That's why you got to take any area within the polygon. If you're in that, you got to take it seriously. But again, some of our products have been a little bit off, and one of these will show the accent on one side or the other. But again, kind of tricky here at times, so just got to bear that in mind. And as I'm looking here at some of our information, it looks as if the county lines sometimes get a little bit off here, so got to keep that in mind as well. Some of that might actually still be in far eastern Liberty County here with this, so got to be mindful of that for sure as these lines when we have street level mapping and stuff like that on here. It can kind of get confusing here at times, so just kind of bear with me, obviously, as we're covering this scenario here. That might still just be moving out of Liberty and toward that Gadsden Leon County line area. Kind of, again, the lines are kind of hard to see sometimes on there, and they mix in. So I might have been kind of looking at that a little bit wrong there. But again, we're tracking this right here in the Warden area right now. When we have slow movement like this toward the county lines, that makes things a little bit harder to track sometimes. Especially when you have like 3 counties coming together here. Again, you see a bunch of lightning. That's a threat as well. Frequent clouded ground lightning. And speaking of that, let me go ahead and see what else we're looking at here. I'm going to go ahead and try to get out toward the west here and get some of those cameras popped up toward I-10. I know we have some different viewpoints that we can go to, so just bear with me. Trying to give you guys a visual on what's happening. Here's one of them. This is an interesting shot. So let's go ahead and go to it. See some of the movement here in the trees right now. A different shot here for sure on the Florida 511 perspective here. Mile marker 163, looking off toward the north and west, but going eastbound on I-10 here. You can definitely see the storminess here this evening, making for maybe a treacherous drive home there as we're getting toward that Easter weekend wrapping on up. So again, you can see what we're looking at right now in the trees. Obviously, some of this stuff will blow around a little bit easier than maybe other areas there of the trees that are a little more sturdy, but you kind of get the idea. Just trying to give you guys that perspective out there. A unique view for sure. Interesting wherever they have this aimed at right now on that shot there. Florida 511 controls where they aim these cameras, but again, just giving you guys an idea of how things look out there at this moment with the severe thunderstorm warning in play. And then I'm going to see if we got some more traditional shots now. Wow, looks really nasty. Yeah, let's pop this up. Look at this visibility here. It's really reduced. So let's go ahead and pop this up. You can barely see the cars. Got to look real close there, bottom right. You can see the flashers on the lightning. I mean, look at that visibility, how reduced it is. I mean, without those lights on, I mean, you barely really are able to make it out. We're into maybe a little bit better down toward the road level there, but definitely reduced visibility there. You can just barely make out the cars that kind of point them out to you if you're having trouble seeing them. You probably could see them, but still, you can see what I'm talking about here with the mouse, the different cars trying to pop up there at times in this very nasty weather there. Black Creek Road, I-10, mile marker 165. So, again, continuing to watch that situation carefully there. Giving you some unique, interesting views here for sure. Another viewpoint, let's pop this one up. This is just a little further to the west. Another nasty view here. Nasty, nasty weather. People trying to go home on Easter weekend. Here's that view. Maybe students headed back, maybe going to Mobile or Panama City for the weekend. Or visiting family somewhere in between. Now they're headed back, and they're headed back during this. And this is not what you want to see, obviously. So, got to be really careful here in this environment. You see how things are so nasty looking. A little sycamore there. I know it's behind my logo, but little sycamore I-10 at mile mark 163.9, looking off toward the east, going eastbound. So that's the lanes we're looking at. But again, continuing to watch the scenario very carefully this evening, making for treacherous conditions for sure on I-10 out there. Let me go ahead and move away from this. We'll continue to watch, continue to track the situation, see if we got some other vantage points for you guys there. So definitely some more unique views versus what you generally see. Some of the different cameras, even in the more populated areas. I know roads like empty here as we look off toward the east a little bit. So let's see this one right now. Of course, might end up getting some cars in here once we pop it up, but nothing yet. Saw a little bit of lightning there, more lightning. So people are not on the roads, whether just not too many people out here, if an accident's blocking things up. You never really know exactly, but again, just trying to give you guys a heads up. Things are pretty nasty looking there right now on I-10. I'm definitely interested to see it. That stretch right there, quiet. But again, trying to give you guys the view with all that lightning there. That's always dangerous when you hear thunder. That means you're close enough to be struck by lightning here in toward this area. So again, going to continue to watch the situation very carefully here. As we're looking outside right now, again, these Florida 511 cameras, they're available at fl511.com. They're transportation cameras the state of Florida uses. You can use them as well. Anybody really can use them. Look at different views across the state, especially on the interstates. That's why we generally pop stuff up when it's toward the interstates, because that's where the cameras that are available here are. As you can just see here, some of that blowing there of the rain. If you look close there, see some light in there too. But again, continuing to watch. Maybe even some hail in there possibly. It's hard to tell for sure, but definitely interested in seeing some of that so on that side there. Maybe some smaller hail trying to pop on up in the view, or it could just be heavier areas of rain, bigger raindrops. But again, going to continue to track this here. There's a car finally coming on through, a couple motorcycle it looks like, but again, going to continue to be careful here in this environment. I mean, you can tell how treacherous it is out there overall. So we'll keep our eyes on things out there toward the panhandle. Nasty driving conditions right now. So again, just trying to see you guys what we have on these viewpoints right now in this severe thunderstorm warning situation. So seeing if there's any other views we want to pop to right now. And I mean, you can just tell by the way the driving is going that things aren't good out there on the roads right now. So again, just trying to give you guys the updates here. See where else we might want to take this. I mean, you can see more slowdowns further off toward the east here. Let's go ahead and pop this one up. We can kind of see how things are going. Looks like a car even on the side maybe. Let's go ahead and pop, not on the side, but I'll see what I'm talking about right here. So you can see maybe a car right there on the side of the road right now with their flashers on even in this type of weather. So kind of, if you can't see it, turning that curve, that could be a little bit dangerous even. But again, just got to be careful here in this situation as we're tracking things in the 4 to 5 on one perspective. So again, that's just one of the angles right now here with this nasty weather that's going on. We'll keep our eyes on things as we're monitoring the scenarios out there. That was mile marker 179 there west of the Vote Creek area. So again, looking out there with the storminess, giving you guys an idea of what's happening on this Easter night. Again, it's been a very busy day in the Weather Center, a little more busy than we were expecting, especially off toward the east. Now, this was a little more anticipated with some storms going warned here off toward the west, but still, just always got to stay weather aware. I'm curious with all those nasty conditions on the road, how many power outages we have there. I suspect we have some out there in the panhandle. So let me see what we got here for you guys. I'll go ahead and pop that on up and try to display that for you guys here in just a second. Power outage.us map. Florida is leading the way around the U.S. with power outages. That doesn't always happen. A little less than 5,000. So let's go ahead and see, guys, what we have for you. Go ahead and see that right now. You can see here. We have some toward Putnam and Marion. 390 customers. 1,744 in Marion. So they always seem like they have more power outages down there. May just be because of the trees, things like that here. Knocking some of those limbs down on a power line here or there, something like that. You can see Flagler 69, St. John's 81, Duval 78, and then getting further to the west, none in Leon yet. Gadsden doesn't have any track, but you see some in Jackson, and then Washington and Holmes. Kind of get the idea of it. Going to keep our eyes on that here this evening in this continuing coverage. So let's go back now. We'll move away from this. Let's go back to the other viewpoint here on our Doppler. I know we probably have outages in Georgia too, so let me see what I got on that. If there's anything noteworthy up there, didn't see it standing out. It's not on our list, so there can't be that many. About 808 customers right now in southern Georgia, 84 in Grady County, 7 in Thomas, 34 in Decatur. So nothing too much that's standing out there, so we won't pop that up for now. But continuing to watch a lot of lightning. I mean, this is just a nasty storm. Even if the wind's not necessarily are meeting severe characteristic in a lot of places, this is a nasty storm. I mean, it definitely could be meeting in some places. In fact, velocity now north of Hardaway and south of Oak Grove. So on winds here, upward to about 50 miles an hour. It's about the highest velocity little pixel we've seen here today, 56 miles an hour. Right there as we get toward Atwater Road, and it looks like, as I try to make sure I got my county boundaries right here, Gadsden County. Just want to make sure we're in the right spot here, because it's really tricky sometimes when we're zoomed in and you have our little green boundaries, and then we're trying to check the tracks and If it's hard for me, it's probably hard for you to make out as well. But that was in Gadsden there a moment ago. So again, going to continue to watch things carefully here. Continue to track the situations. Checking here, look like some hail in that area. This a while ago as we were looking between Liberty and Gadsden and Leon there, right where they kind of come together there. But again, going to continue to watch to the north as well toward Bainbridge and Cairo. Not sure how severe these storms have been. I know toward Thomasville now, you can see some stuff developing there. Further on to the north as well. It seems like that action's picking up in intensity a little bit. You see some more stuff around Cairo there in Grady County. We'll have to watch that to see how it maybe moves into Thomasville. Maybe getting a new warning for that in the next little bit. It's hard to say. I mean, on velocity, it's not all that impressive, but they issued a warning here earlier on. Our view's pretty good at this, though, 2,000 feet. So we'll just have to see if they issue a new warning off toward the east. It'll be a marginal situation. This looks a little more robust, though. Toward the Big Bend for sure, as we're tracking things. 55-mile-an-hour wind in Gadsden County, again on velocity. So we're just trying to see what's happening here. This robust Sunday evening Easter type threat. Let me go back on over here. Again, the logo is blue because this is more of a scattered threat. It's just a marginal risk per se from the Storm Prediction Center, and it doesn't even include some of these areas we've had warnings in, or even currently some of these accident in the Big Bend, technically not even in the marginal risk, but that'll happen sometimes in this type of pattern. The bigger threat more off toward the west here in the yellow, and you see there's actually, if I take it off real quick, you have an orange area under there, and then you have a bunch of warnings in play, a bunch of hail around Jackson, Mississippi earlier on. But only yesterday was really lacking in terms of any severe potential around here we thought might have, but you realize that risk area is a little bit bigger actually, and then today we just get inundated with so many warnings here on this Easter Sunday, unfortunately, as all the parameters have come into play for so many warnings here in the local area. So, I mean, I'll try to count them. I'm not able to count them all, but I just see in here Jacksonville 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 9 warnings maybe for Jacksonville, and then maybe 10 actually. If you kind of go on up here on the list, it gets kind of confusing because of other offices in here, but Tallahassee's now issued a pretty good handful as well. 3 to 4 warnings, give or take. So it's been a busy afternoon and now evening hour period. You see some lightning off toward Baker and Columbia and toward southern Georgia there as well. You can see if you're watching around Fargo, maybe in Eccles County there right now. Definitely dealing with that as we're watching things out toward that area. So again, or if you're watching, I mean, of course, Fargo just barely into Clinton County, but that general vicinity, you know what I'm talking about if you're in that area. So again, you're going to continue to watch things, but as we continue to watch the local area here and give you the latest information, we're watching things here with some hail popping up to about 7/10 of an inch in diameter. So again, we're looking there. You see Clinton, Eccles, some stronger action there as we're looking just north of Columbia and Baker even, and some of the other zones in Georgia as well. I mean, of course, we have parts of Ware County that gets down to the border, so we have to be mindful of that there too. So again, I'm going to continue to watch that scenario, but as we get back off toward the west here, this action may be trying to weaken off a little bit more if we're getting lucky. I know it's been a long day, as you can tell here, talking about these different areas the best we can. Of course, occasionally might make a mistake here or there because we've just been looking at the map. I mean, we've been looking at the maps here for about 4 hours or so in the Weather Center, just having to do this special coverage to keep you, your friends, and your family safe and all the different platforms. So if I'm getting a couple areas confused on the map, I apologize. But again, just trying to give you guys the latest here. My eyes are getting a little bit tired, honestly, after a while doing this coverage. But it's always out there on the different platforms to keep you guys up to date. So, again, just trying to give you guys the latest. Of course, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have YouTube, you have Twitch, you have the website there. That gives you all the different links there to the coverage. If you just want to go to a one-stop shop for that, it's there at the top of the screen, the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch links there. Some different outlets you can go to get the coverage, different ways you can watch on different video players, per se, and different apps. But again, that's the information there. Of course, auto alerts, Cloud_WX on Twitter. That's a good thing to get. I mean, when you subscribe on YouTube, you can really get a notification you can get a notification when I'm coming on here with special coverage, depending on how you set things up there. So that's something to kind of keep in mind for sure. Keep in mind here for sure is subscribing to my YouTube channel, that meteorologist Casey Cloud. So again, I'm going to keep an eye on everything here on the mapping. Might take a break here in just a moment, kind of get our bearings once again here on the situation. As we have these odd directions here, the storms as they move here across the area today. I know the wind's pretty strong in Gadsden County. Let's get back on in here right now. Let's get back on in here. Continuing to watch things. Continuing to track things here in Gadsden County. You can see 46, 48 mile an hour wind maybe. As we get closer toward US 90, toward East Circle Road Drive there, Beach Avenue, 4th Street. You kind of get the idea. So watching more toward Leon. May get a new warning on this. We'll see how the wind patterns and the hail signatures move over the next little bit. I know new update now from the Jacksonville office. So let's go back to the Broadview again. This is in our far northern areas. We're talking this outside of them in some regards, but thunderstorms are strengthening along the US 301 corridor in southeast Georgia to the north of Nahana with heavy downpours, gusty winds, and possibly some small hail. That could be a potential there over rural locations in Brantley and outer area in southern Wayne counties there over the next little bit. So, gotta keep watching, keep track. I'll be back in about 5 minutes with more information. Back with you here at 6:51 from the Weather Center. Still got 2 thunderstorm warnings going. Still watching some stuff into the Florida-Georgia line as well. Even some stuff toward Flagler and St. John's pretty strong, and that area toward Brantley County. Significant weather advisory now in play until 7:15 up there. So different areas of storming is here. Definitely wanting to evolve on this Easter Sunday, disrupting those travel plans, unfortunately. As we look here toward western Leon, we did get a report in around Bloxham at about 6:44 of quarter-size hail there near the intersection of State Road 20 and the Bloxham Cutoff Road area. As we go ahead and zoom back up toward the north here, you see toward Cairo, you got some heavy rain, maybe some severe wind in there. It's questionable, but we'll continue to watch. You see some stronger storm action closer to Thomasville. There are a lot of it just more to the north of downtown, it seems, but we'll keep our eyes on it, of course, there toward Thomas County. As we go ahead and zoom back on out, you see the more organized severe threat toward Mississippi, and you see thunderstorm watches out there, one toward San Antonio, even with some considerable damage potential off toward the west there with golf ball size hail with that storm. And then as we look over here, you see our warnings, and then we have some toward the Oklahoma, and then toward Mississippi itself, toward the Jackson television market. You can see here what's going on in Vicksburg there. Got a warning in place, some more nasty weather moving in, golf ball size hail. Again, you see 2 inch, 2.5 inch size hail reported earlier toward Jackson. So another busy day in Mississippi. They've had a lot of busy days lately in that state. I mean, even crazier weather than we've had here toward North Florida, South Georgia. But as we get back on in right now, you're going to see what's going on. Hopefully the storms are weakening off a little enough to drop these warnings that we could end up getting one for Brantley. Here north of Nahana, zooming in, you see that hail. I mean, our tracker's showing it could be severe hail north of Nahana right now. I mean, as you look up there, I mean, trying to give you guys perspective of what we're looking there. That's 301. If you're headed up there, headed just north on 301, you might run into some hail in that area. As we kind of look, you see that moving across there and moving a little bit to the south, it looks like even. The south and east maybe on the movement. It's kind of interesting to try that. As we continue to give the latest updates here, sometimes again you have this erratic movement here with this accent on this on our different trackers. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom back on out right now. 6:54 is the time. We're watching this weather situation as it does emerge, as it does develop and evolve here. And again, right now the strongest storm again is a situation where maybe it's not warned, but it's just because weather service is so busy, things pulse up, pulse down. They don't want to drop the warnings in play. So it's a tricky situation altogether. It's not something that's really easy to handle. But they're doing the best they can at the weather service offices in Jacksonville and in Tallahassee. They do a great job there on this holiday weekend here, trying to keep everybody advised of this. You know, all these different warning polygons that go out to no weather radio, go out to different sources here as well that are transmitted there. Through different weather apps, things to that effect. So, again, different things like what you're seeing on our system. I mean, the system that we're showing you right now, or weather service chat session, the warnings go through that so they can be disseminated that way there too, and then the public will find out based on the information the meteorologists tell them. This information does stream on out of the office there in Jacksonville and the office in Tallahassee there. Of course, if you're wondering, the office in Tallahassee is there on the FSU campus toward the Love Building there, and in Jacksonville out toward the airport. Been in the Tallahassee office there before at the FSU campus. Now the Jacksonville office there, haven't been by that before, but it's there out toward the airport, I do believe. So again, going to continue to watch the situation very carefully here. As we continue to watch this situation evolve. I know we're kind of running out of things to talk about here from time to time, so that's why we kind of go off a little bit on a tangent. But again, just trying to give you guys the very latest information as we stay with you here. I think these storms are weakening off in terms of overall reflectivity, but velocity is still impressive relatively down here. Granted, that may not be severe wind. We're looking lower to the surface, though, and they're going to keep it for now, and they're keeping the warning for Grady for now to be on the safe side as well. So we'll just kind of see what happens with us getting closer to Tallahassee. They may just go ahead and reissue Fort Leon, the downtown and Tallahassee area even. So just got an update on the polygon here at 6:55 from the Tallahassee office. They're continuing to warn in there for part of Gaston, Leon, Liberty, Decatur, and Grady counties. So got to keep that in mind. Got to keep that in mind for sure, that potential of some stronger wind. Again, looking in there right now toward Quincy, you see the polygon update at 6:55. So if thunderstorms, looking at along the line, extending from about 10 miles east of Chattahoochee to 13 miles northwest of Crawfordville there, moving east at about 25 miles an hour. Quincy, Midway, Havana, Tallahassee, Greensboro, Gretna, Attapulgis, Fremont there, Littman, Douglas City, Darcy, Florence, Scotland, Jameson, Calvary there, Santa Clara, Sadie Rest, Prince's Steel, and Amsterdam. Those communities are under this warning. I just got a report in from about 5:10 Central Time towards Sneeds, or 3 miles southwest of Sneeds in Jackson County, of a tree down on Blueberry Road. So getting a little bit of wind damage report action coming on in there close to I-10 there, just over the line, just over to the central time zone there in Jackson County, outside of our viewing area by just a bit. But of course, so we cover 62 counties, cover Gaston, Leon, Liberty, Wakulla, Franklin there, and we're watching everything very carefully for you. So again, I know you have cloudweather.com/live where you can actually, that's another way to get the links, but it also shows a coverage map here that we show here in terms of where we actually provide the coverage, a more long-form coverage like this for local hazards here. Of course, we'll come on occasionally for national threats as well, but when there's a hazard in one of these 62 counties that we cover on that map at cloudweather.com/live, if this is potent enough, obviously any tornado warning storm will be on. As a thunderstorm warning, we put up by there, but a lot of these thunderstorm warnings today have had that higher end potential to them, or been more populated areas, or have had a history of producing some issues. So got to take them seriously, obviously. Is the stuff near Thomasville now? Let's zoom in over here. See a little something there. I also see a little bit of rotation showing up near Cairo. Nothing really tight. That's a really weak looking storm overall. So that might just be a downburst or something. Even it's possible, I suppose, that the storm's falling apart. But we'll continue to watch. That storm hadn't looked all that impressive to me, but they're using different radar views to kind of figure that out. At the Weather Service office in Tallahassee, Jackson County there, 2 miles northeast of Cypress. 911 call center reported a road there underwater from some heavy rain. Not sure the exact road here, a little confusion in the chat, but we'll keep our eyes on that there. They're saying it's called Nada Road, but I'm not sure if that's just if that's an actual roadway or if that's just an odd way of saying there's no road, but that's what's actually set up in our system right now, NADA road, but I'm not 100% sure there, but we'll keep our eyes on that. Just got to keep our eyes on things as we watch these heavy rainfall amounts. And speaking of these rainfall amounts here, you can see toward Gaston County, some of these areas have picked up over 3 inches now. As we look at some of these areas in red, toward Grady County, an area there northwest of Cairo, over 3 inches. And then let's go to the last 12 hours on the broad view, and then we'll put that up on the screen for you guys. Let's do that right now. You're able to see some of these areas in the red picking up over 3 inches, but other areas, I mean, they're stark and not near that much rain. You're wondering, what is all the fuss about, really? There hadn't been too much going on, but it's just hit or miss, more that summertime pattern overall. We had a little more organized line action further off toward the west, where we've had a little more, at least in a way of uniform amounts so far, but seeing some of that kind of break up some, and hopefully as we lose that daytime heating, the threat will kind of falling off here. Maybe, I know, further off to the east, we were thinking we might have some action here, but I mean, we have had a lot of that energy at least try to be used here by these storms today. So hopefully these 2 warnings here, the one it goes into about 7:30 for parts of Leon, Gaston, Liberty, Decatur, and Grady. And then the one for parts of Grady until about 7:15. Hopefully we'll have warnings that follow those. But another update now. Flagler County, go back to the other view and go down to Flagler. They're saying localized flooding possible as downpours move slowly across coastal Flagler County during the next half hour, particularly in the vicinity of Palm Coast. So let's see how much rain they've got. So that's about 2 inches of rain there. Urban area near the coast, you can see some flooding in that type of environment. So Gotta be aware of that. They're closer toward Palm Coast in Flagler County. See all that lightning popping up still. It's been an active day. There's some storminess just south of Flagler County, north of DeLand by a little ways here, and it's a little bit on the stronger side. Maybe some small hail storming up there on our hail tracker as well. And as we get back toward areas in southern Georgia, you see as we get closer toward Eccles County here, south of Needmore, you can see we're watching things down there in toward that area because hail's going up to about 8/10 of an inch in diameter on our mode, on our Doppler radar that can kind of investigate that for you. So it kind of analyzes that information. But again, the two warnings in play right now, two thunderstorm warnings here, one for parts of Grady, another one for parts of Grady, and then also in toward areas of Decatur, and then in Florida, Gadsden, Leon, and Liberty. Let's check some of those cameras again, see what we're getting. I think the storm is weakening off, but it could still be really hazardous driving out there as people try to get home on this Easter weekend here and get back to maybe where they're going to be going to school, going to work here tomorrow. As some hail from earlier reported toward Mariana, delayed reporting from social media relayed to the Weather Service office there in Tallahassee. So again, I'm going to go ahead and continue to watch things. This weather definitely impacting different people trying to get home in different parts of the viewing circle here. So we're just going to have to continue to watch and now see what we got here. Just give me a moment. This is really nasty looking toward. Wow, this looks like it's another area. Wow, this is something. It's just the visibility is so bad it actually turned up just a tad right when I pop it on here maybe, but we'll go ahead and see what we're talking about here. That's from reduced visibility. It was looking even worse than that just a second ago. This is the Pat Thomas Parkway there. I-10, mile marker 180.6 going eastbound but looking west. I mean, looks really, really treacherous out there. Maybe even somebody on the side of the road in this shot here. So it's kind of really hard to make it out. But that's what makes it so dangerous on the roads. It may not be quite this bad on the road, but then when you have when you're actually out there, though, it might not be that much better because you have all that rain coming down around you and you're going through it so quickly here. That's why you got to make sure you're slowing down. But obviously, the others around you, they might not be slowing down as much, and that makes things nasty. This is more like what we were seeing a second ago, right before it popped it up. Is wow, I mean, that is something. I hope it's not quite that bad at the ground level, but that leads to accidents right there, folks. I mean, visibilities like this being reduced so badly on the road. It looks like the camera's even shaking around here out in toward this area. So it's a very nasty weather, obviously. We'll keep our eyes on things as we continue to track the situation. Again, it depends on where you're looking. Some of the cameras aren't near as treacherous, but then I go further west, you have another one that's really treacherous. So let's go back to this one. It's not quite maybe as treacherous, but looks like we're just kind of maybe on the other side of the curve even here. So let's go ahead and pop this up. You can see what we're talking about right now. I mean, that looks bad as we get out there right now on the Florida 511 perspective there. Definitely got to be really careful here. That might have been where we were looking earlier on, actually, where we had that car side of the road. Maybe somebody trying to help them out there. But again, not what you want to see here on this Sunday evening on this Easter weekend here. Things definitely nasty in nature. This is west of the Vote Creek area, I-10, 179 mile marker, looking off toward the north and east. So again, another different perspective for you guys here as we go between some of the different views. More lightning in the area as we go back to the Doppler once again. Even if this isn't meeting severe criteria necessarily, it is warned, but even if it wasn't, I mean, this is some bad weather here to be headed back in on Easter weekend. So you got to bear that in mind, obviously. So interesting to see some of the other sides, though, a lot better off than others here, though, in the vicinity. So let's pop this one up. This may be showing something in terms of hail. Definitely showing quite a bit of lightning, though. We'll pop it up right now in order to see what we're talking about at the present time. Definitely looks like maybe a little bit of something bouncing off there. And look at that lightning there a little bit further off. I know some of the other sites I haven't really popped up haven't been as vicious looking as some of these other ones. So it's kind of interesting to see sometimes the cameras make it look a little bit worse than it is, or just kind of getting lucky in spots because of the way the actual accident is over parts of the interstate versus others. Maybe there's backups because of an accident or something too. Different factors weigh in, but again, look like there may have seen a little bit of hail. You see the lightning though, and that is nasty in nature for sure. So gotta keep that in mind. Gotta keep that in mind here as we're tracking the situation. People really trying to be as careful as they can on the roads here with all that lightning around. Again, if you hear thunder, that means you're close enough to be struck by lightning. You need to be inside and away from windows in that circumstance. So, again, just gotta make sure you're doing that as we go ahead and get back over to the Doppler once again. We'll keep on watching the cameras here and trying to give you guys different visuals as they come on out here with some good shots, these different visuals. So, let me go ahead and hop another one. We have another one for you now. This is a little further off. You can see here another stretch of road. It looks pretty abandoned. I mean, there's a car or two that comes through, or semi, but you kind of get the idea here as we're tracking the situation. Maybe some more cars trying to come through, but again, you kind of get the idea here. Things are pretty nasty here at the present time. So we're going to keep our eyes on that situation that we're dealing with. As we get these little waves of traffic coming in from time to time. Just trying to give you guys the updates here on these potent weather conditions. Checking some of our power outage numbers. Not seeing too many in Georgia. In Florida, about 5,050 customers here. We got 407 in Putnam. I'll go ahead and pop this up again for you guys. You got 407 in Putnam of that, 1,679 in Marion. Kind of get the idea. None in Leon with color right now, and some of these aren't going to be tracked. So, I mean, with some of those road conditions being as nasty as they are, I have a tendency to believe we do have some outages out there. So, that's got to be something to keep an eye on, obviously. But we'll get back on over now. Move away from this. Back to the Doppler we go. Continuing to track things. Just got an update in from the Weather Service in Jacksonville. That 3 to 5 inch rainfall totals in the Okefenokee Swamp area there. Maybe end up causing some rises on the St. Mary's River Basin the next few days. So, got to be bearing that in mind as well as we continue to track this scenario at large. But we're at 7:09 right now. It looks like they're not going to extend the warning up toward areas like Brooks and Thomas. They went with a significant weather advisory. Let's go over to see what we have on that. Actually, well, that's a different area, and I still don't think they're going to extend it now, but that's that other area we were tracking here a little while ago, but gust to 24 there toward Thomasville. You see a little bit of wind enhancement to the east of Thomasville, maybe winds to about, as I look here, some of our products, trying to make sure we get a good look at this here, maybe winds to about 30, 40 miles an hour. So we're going to keep our eyes on this. We'll be back here as we get the latest information in. We'll give you guys the latest updates. We'll be back here in just a few more minutes with more details as we keep you, your friends, and your family safe on this Easter weekend. You see some storminess trying to evolve further down toward color, but a non-severe nature for now. We'll just have to wait and see how things kind of evolve. We have areas that are a little more untapped with the instability values. Back with you at 7:15. Still watching one area with a severe thunderstorm warning in play until 7:30. This continues for parts of Leon and Gadsden counties. I know they got ahead and got rid of the warning for Grady. The other area here with this warning for Grady, Decatur, and Liberty also has been cleared out. So that's definitely great news, but we still got to watch the situation very carefully here as we monitor things. Obviously, we continue to give you guys the latest radar scans here. I know I have some other different areas that are kind of interesting popping up on the map right now from a national perspective. So let me go ahead and see, guys, what we're dealing with. I know there's a storm west of San Antonio, and really southwest of San Antonio, I should say, here at this point. That is a destructive storm. I think that's the first we've had today that I have seen. I know we got pretty close in our area to having some of that towards St. Johns County, but I know this is now being called by the National Weather Service there in San Antonio and Austin area as a storm that's capable of producing baseball-sized hail around the community of Yancey here. And this is in Medina County there. So gotta continue to watch that scenario very carefully as you see our purples really showing up on our hail product there, again, north of Yancey. This is a destructive storm, so gotta be watching that thread. And then we have more national stories. You see all the acts in Mississippi, and then you have a warning there west of Savannah. This is around Statesboro there. Well, that was strange. I guess it was on there for a last little bit, but so again, we were looking at that there, trying to give you the update, but they've gone ahead and dropped it right when we popped that up. But just for a little bit there, they did have a warning on Statesboro, Georgia. It's another storm southwest of Savannah. We'll watch that. You see a storm there closer to the county line here. It's showing some occasional to maybe a little more frequent lightning, and that's west of Fargo. That's strong but not severe, and in the accent closer toward Tallahassee is warned for. We just got an update from the Weather Service here in Tallahassee. They've gone with a significant weather advisory for the FSU campus. Tallahassee obviously involved, Crawfordville, St. Mark's. So we're talking about stronger winds here versus severe winds maybe. So that'd be a good sign for some of these communities here that we don't actually get a warning in play for them. But they're saying the storms could intensify and a warning could be issued pretty rapidly. So you got to make sure you're staying tuned to the latest informational sources. It looks like there may be a little bit of something in terms of maybe some type of wind enhancement here as we get closer towards some of these areas here west of the airport, west of the radar site. So I'll have to watch for that here carefully. Let's get back down toward the south here as we continue to watch things here toward Crawfordville. Again, 40-mile-an-hour winds possible there, not severe in nature. And they're going to go ahead and give us some new information down in the chat that they went with a statement for Leon, McCulloch counties for now. But if it re-intensifies at all, warning is still possible for Tallahassee and the main FSU campus. So, and FAMU and TCC. So we got to bear that in mind here as we look toward areas further off toward the east. So you see some heavier rain here right around I-10 there in Leon County now. Maybe a little bit of smaller hail mixed in there on Havenbrook Court. As we kind of get in there, you see there's different roads. Liberty Lane could have some of that hail mixed in closer toward Gerhardt Road as well. Maybe Gerhardt Road, depending on how you pronounce that. But again, I just got to be mindful here. The hail may be trying to mix on in. That could be an issue here, and just have to track all the different modes on Doppler radar that we have to keep you, your friends, and your family safe here and toward these areas. So, again, may not be severe, but could still cause some issues there as we get toward northern parts of Tallahassee. But again, if it re-intensifies at all, they'll go with a new warning. So, I gotta bear that in mind here. They haven't dropped the old warning yet, as some of this wind energy is still within that old polygon. So the Weather Service playing it safe here for sure. Go ahead and keep that old warning in play, and then just be being ready for a new warning further downstream. So that's the only area we're watching right now that is severe in nature. Still some other storms that are pretty close here. I know toward that state line, further off toward the east, we're still watching the situation very carefully toward Hamilton County, toward Eccles, toward Clint's. You kind of get the idea. We're getting the hail signature there toward areas further off, Columbia, Baker, Ware in there. You get the idea. Maybe even into Charlton County with some lightning strikes, and then further up, we got some strong storms here. Nahana is getting some pretty heavy rain, maybe some small hail mixing in around Nahana right now. So again, it would not be severe in nature necessarily, but still something to watch there in toward that area. So just tracking all of our different modes here, and this will give you the latest updates. Trying to see what's happening. I know there's a gust of 36 earlier on Quincy. In Gadsden County, we'll continue to track all the different reports that come on in from the Weather Service, and we're going to keep on monitoring the Doppler radar scans here as the evening hours move later on, as we get later on toward the night, really. That sunset's pretty close here in the timeline. So again, we're watching Tallahassee, we're watching Leon County. Still got the warning for now for parts of Gadsden County and Leon until 7:30. Again, a decision ought to be made here soon whether or not to extend this warning. Looking back at our rainfall here, our storm total numbers, you can see some areas 3-4 inches toward Jackson, Gadsden, those areas, and you see some of these numbers adding up. Even if this isn't severe in Tallahassee, we could still have some pretty nasty weather in this area that causes some issues on the roadways. Some heavy downpours that can lead to some issues. Obviously, you have your lightning, you have your gustier winds, could cause some accidents, could cause some power outages here, even with a few limbs falling. That can happen from time to time in Tallahassee, or some of the areas we have more trees around, more limbs to fall in the power line. It doesn't take maybe severe winds to knock out power, so you got to bear that in mind here toward the Big Bend of Florida. As we're looking there, you see Havana to Tallahassee, some of the worst of it right now. Kind of exiting a warning. I know we're actually kind of on the edge of the viewpoint here of things. The reason I say that is because we're looking almost too low down. So we're going to switch radars real quick, and we'll go to the broad view, and then we'll switch back to the Moody's side. I want to see what it looks like closer toward the surface there, closer toward the ground level. We'll kind of see what's going on in terms of that viewpoint here in just a moment, and kind of align that for you and see how things are kind of shaping on up. So again, that rain falls around, causing some issues here on this Sunday, on this holiday weekend. It's winding down now, and unfortunately some folks having to head back and causing some issues for them. I know we'll go to that Moody's site here and give you guys that perspective. I just want to see if there's anything on this storm toward Tallahassee. It might be harder to see off the other side since we're getting too close, and even this is actually a little too far right now, I think. But you can see some heavier rain moving in Tallahassee. You see that storm in Brooks County looks a little stronger on this mode here with a little more wind enhancement. As you see, 40-mile-an-hour winds possible around Barwick, and then you have storms here in southern Georgia, southeastern Georgia, even toward Brantley County. Gotta watch. You see some storms. Look like they're building back toward Columbia County a little bit. We'll have to watch toward those areas over in the next little while. I know there's also another, by the way. Let me go back to Texas because I have another significant threat of some severe weather. Another, what the Weather Service terms as a destructive storm type of severe thunderstorm warning has been issued further downstream now with that storm toward Yancey. It now includes the community of Yancey, Texas, and Moore, Texas, where we have considerable hail damage potential, 2.75 inches in diameter, baseball-sized hail. I know we had 2.5 earlier toward parts of St. John's. This is very unusual for our area, and that's tennis ball. This is now baseball, though. Outside, obviously, way outside of our area, looking at this from a national perspective. I see somebody that I went to school with at FSU, though. I see him this morning, so a little local connection there as they're at that office there in Austin, San Antonio. They were issuing one of those tornado warnings the other day as well for that storm, as it was in areas there just south of Bell County and moving up into the Fort Worth jurisdiction that produced that very destructive tornado there. But as we go back on over, you see our viewpoint here of the Doppler radar imagery at 7:24. We still have that threat here lingering around. See the marginal risk on the board. You see surface-based CAPE values around here, the energy values. A little bit lower, but still they're a factor. I mean, some of this rain around toward the Big Bend could help cut off the worst of it toward Tallahassee, but these other storms are just not getting all that moisture to linger as much, and that's a problem because you can sometimes get more warnings to pop up in this type of environment as we're looking toward Nahana, toward Fargo here. Gotta be watching here. Gotta be checking the latest radar scans, obviously, to see what they show. As the different beams look at the different angles here on the storm. So I knew toward Volusia County, a stronger storm. There toward Flagler County, we're looking at lightning here. A lot of it just off the coast at this point, but it's been a nasty, nasty afternoon, evening there. Look toward that vicinity. You see toward the Big Bend. This is a lot weaker looking, but it's moving toward Tallahassee, which always kind of gets your antennas up a little bit. Because obviously if something were to occur out of this storm there in Tallahassee, more people would feel that impact here. Maybe meaning more power outages if the storm is a little more potent, and we were thinking toward Tallahassee proper. So gotta bear in mind that things could ultimately change on us, and we have to be prepared at a moment's notice. So again, it's 7:26 right now. The storm is moving into Tallahassee. Northern Tallahassee already been getting into some of this here, as they've shown you here on some of our different views. And our other view is going to be a little bit ahead here, probably, as you get down to street level map and down toward US Highway 27. It looks like Alligood Avenue, Bradford Court there in Leon County, Myrick Road. You kind of get the idea. Some of these different areas that we're tracking things. You can see here some of the wind parameters. They're not going to show up as good because we're higher up, but you see maybe a little bit of enhancement just west of the airport still. That'll be something to watch, see if we get any crazy observations there. That actually look like a downburst there, closer toward as I get in here tight, State Highway 260. So we got to be careful here as that gets closer to the airport. That could cause some issues. I know the temperature wide there at the airport here. Right now 70 as things are a little bit cooler, which is good, but still could have some stronger wind headed in the picture here over the next little bit. So I know we have those warmer temperatures that we've been talking about here overall in the weather pattern. We're continuing to monitor things, obviously, as this week. Just kind of trying to give you guys a sneak peek. I know we don't really do formal updates here in terms of forecast right now, but just real quick, I want to make sure if you're watching, at least you kind of get an idea of how the week might go. In some regard, in case we don't have to come back on. Granted, we still have threats even in tomorrow lingering with a severe weather threat here. So I don't lay a guard down here. The threat tomorrow is marginal in nature again, but you saw what today produced, so you just never know. But as we look to tomorrow, temperatures in the toward the 80s with those storm chances, but then Monday night cooling down, clearing out for Tuesday, temperatures in the 70s maybe. And then as we get toward Tuesday night, it could get down, maybe even into the 40s in some spots. Wednesday, we kind of maybe breezy around there, and then the temperatures start warming up some. But again, it's going to stay pretty clear for the rest of the week, so not really any severe weather potential. And it looks like we just got a new warning, so I'm going to have to stick with you even longer now. But getting toward the weekend, maybe warm temperatures here. Excuse me. Again, like what I was alluding to a moment ago, talking about those warm temperatures kind of hanging around here, eventually becoming even more dominant here as we get toward the upper 80s towards Sunday. So, again, that's something to kind of bear in mind. It's kind of a roller coaster, but generally staying pretty warm out there. So, that downburst signature we were just looking at has prompted a new warning. As we're looking at things, and yes, become a little more prominent now. So this does include Tallahassee, obviously downtown, the main FSC campus. You'll see that yellow box there right now, but you can see here right around Silver Lake Road, again, that downburst signature there, that's a nasty one as we get right toward the airport. I'll be curious to see what type of winds they see at the airport. If they don't get as high of a wind speed at the airport, maybe we can wrap up the coverage once this gets past the downtown Tallahassee areas if we get lucky, but if not, then obviously we'll have to stick with it longer if we get like some type of crazy gust at the airport. It'll be interesting to see. So, again, that's right near the radar site, so hopefully it doesn't cause any issues with the radar site there either at Tallahassee Airport in that vicinity, that beam there. But, again, continuing to watch the scenario, continuing to give you those latest updates, obviously. To provide you guys with the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family here. Again, we have had this warm weather around, a little bit of cool weather coming in, but really going to be mainly warm here as we look ahead and get closer toward summertime here in the grand scheme of things. So at least that cooler air, drier air will be reducing those rain chances and those storm chances for a little bit, though, which is helpful. But we got to get through some storms right here on this Sunday night. You see here, Doppler radar on Silver Lake Road. The latest scan actually showing a weaker downburst signature now, which generally can happen in these type of scenarios, but it'll still be interesting to see what we get out of the airport there. It could just be the way the radar is reading things too. That could be a problem here. I might not be getting the best viewpoint here. This is being obscured a little bit. So again, just going to continue to watch things as they're giving us an update now here in the chat session. So let me go ahead and jump back on over to the broad view here. Again, the next round of storms will be focused over inland southeast Georgia, they're saying in the Jacksonville office, and in the northern Swanee River Valley as the storms from southwest Georgia and the Panhandle interact with outflows and ongoing storm activity across inland southeast Georgia. The main threat will be an isolated severe storm or some more widespread severe storms with large hail and winds up to 60 miles an hour, but an isolated tornado along colliding outflows is not out of the question. So we got to watch for that potential now. And with that being said, Tallahassee office is issuing a significant weather advisories for Lanier and Lowndes counties. So that'll be something we're watching for here over the next little bit. So seeing how things kind of evolve here in different areas of the viewing circle. So again, just going to continue to watch the situation very carefully. I know I keep saying that over and over, but that's what we have to do sometimes when we're in this long form coverage. Let's kind of repeat ourselves here so people just tuning in or just tuning out get the latest information to protect themselves, their friends, their families here. Just trying to give you guys the latest here on things. But again, I know right now we have those warmer temperatures around. There's warm temperatures staying around in tomorrow, but again, cooler air coming in to dry things out before we shoot back up real quick there, with the warmer air mass being pretty predominant here across the viewing area. Just want to kind of reiterate that here as we're looking ahead in toward the timeline. So again, we're going to be tracking things, going to be watching things as we monitor our radar views here. We have those latest updates coming on in. So we're at 7:32 right now. I see Augusta 31 in the airport. That's not that impressive, so that's good news. But gotta be watching for more storm formation. I'm gonna take a quick break and cover it back here in about 5 minutes with more. If we get something really imminent toward Tallahassee, we'll break back in sooner though. But if you're in Tallahassee, if you're in Crawford, we have some severe potential moving on in. Even down toward the south there, I mean, it doesn't look quite as impressive, but the radar could be obscuring things. So you gotta watch even in McCullough there as well. For thunderstorms located along the line extending from 7 miles north of Tallahassee to near Crawfordville, moving east at 20 miles an hour, 60 mile an hour winds possible. In the word its vicinity, St. Mark's, Woodville, Tallahassee, Crawfordville, Florida State University, FAMU, TCC, Doak Campbell Stadium, McCullough, Lake Bradford, as well as Sadeville, Leon Sinks, Gaither Community Center, McCullough Springs, Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Muskogee, 8 Mile Pond, Tallahassee Mall, Bethel, and the Tallahassee Regional Airport. We'll be back here in a moment. back here in the weather center at 7:39, 7:38, whatever you want to call it here. We did just get a gust of 39 miles an hour there at the Tallahassee airport. So not severe in nature, but definitely a little bit on the stronger side. I know it's toward tropical storm force winds there with that gust. So nothing extreme, but still problematic in nature. Maybe if you have some lawn furniture, something like that laying around, you kind of get the idea. Patio furniture, it could blow things around just a little bit. But we'll go ahead and zoom out because I do want to say something in Mississippi. We actually haven't had any tornado warnings today anywhere in the country, despite all this crazy weather until now. We just got a tornado warning in the state of Mississippi. So let me go ahead and pop this up. You can see here southeast of Jackson, a tornado warning for southern Rankin, northeastern Simpson, and west central Smith counties until 7:30 Central Time. At 6:33 Central Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was over the community of Monterey or near Star, moving east at about 30. Piney Woods, Cato, Johns, Martinville, White Oak there under that. So we have that circulation here. You see the tight rotation tracker southeast of Jackson. Been a busy day out there as well, even maybe a little more busy than here. As flats flooding toward Jackson, toward central Hines and southwestern Rankin counties. So a nasty day there in the state of Mississippi with thunderstorm watch in play there. One toward the rest, toward Monroe, but not as big of a concern. And then we have this really nasty storm there southwest of San Antonio that has that destructive potential with it. It's something to watch out there. But I'll get back to our local viewpoint again now. I know I've been with you for a really long time, so just bear with me here as I try to give you guys the latest details. But you see the severe thunderstorm warning continued for Tallahassee. You see quite a bit of lightning around. Granted, we may not have the severe conditions, the severe parameters down toward the surface, but still, we'll have a warning for Tallahassee. You got to be taking it seriously there with this threat. So, again, just going back over to the other viewpoint now. You can see here we have some stronger winds in there. Generally not as maybe close to where that downburst was, but it's hard to say because the radar is kind of obscuring things. And now, if you wonder what this little cone is here around the radar site, that's not because there isn't rain there. It's because it's called a cone of silence, where you're not able to see right around the radar site because you're looking too low down, really. When you're right there at the radar site, I mean, you're 10 feet off the ground with that radar beam, so you're not able to get a look at the rain. Is obscured. But as you get further up, you see that rain, you see the storm is here, and you see that toward Tallahassee right now, toward some of these different communities, East Madison Street, West Pensacola Street, right near the campus there, obviously getting in some nasty weather at the present time. And speaking of the campus, let's see here, I think we have our FSU camera. We can pop that up pretty easy for you. We show this to you from time to time on the updates. This is going to be a snapshot of the view here from just a little bit ago. And you see, just from a couple minutes ago, you see the heavy rain there right toward campus, Jefferson Street at Woodward Avenue. So trying to give you that viewpoint there toward the FSU campus area. Jefferson Street at Woodward Avenue, making things look pretty treacherous out there for sure right now as we're looking up toward the north. You see the nasty conditions. Wouldn't want to be walking right now to somewhere on campus or around campus for sure with the severe thunderstorm warning that is in play right now until 8:15. So we just got to be really careful there. I mean, when there's thunder that's roaring, that means you got to be inside and away from windows. You got to be taking that threat seriously. Sometimes you want to kind of unplug those electrical things there that you use. Just depending on how you handle those type of situations, really. You just got to be careful because sometimes things can get damaged by an electrical charge there, really, within a lightning strike. I mean, that's not something you want to deal with, obviously. So it could cause issues to maybe a garage or something to that effect even. You just got to be really careful when you have frequent lightning around. So just kind of giving you guys that idea there, though. But as we get back going over to the Doppler radar, again, we're looking toward eastern parts of Leon, toward I-10. You can see the heavier wind there, maybe in that area, maybe just all in here, potentially in spots. See northern McCullough, maybe some stronger wind. Some of this toward Crawfordville as well. But thunderstorm warning remaining in effect. I mean, the radar beam's kind of maybe not getting the best view, but It looks like the worst might have went north of Crawfordville, but there's a little something here closer towards State Highway 61 there. You can kind of see maybe some wind enhancement there. That's due south of the radar site out there at the airport. So just continuing to watch that, continuing to monitor things very carefully. Let's look at the other accent here because this looks pretty potent from time to time on our different views. So let me go ahead and pop up our other radar views right now. We'll go ahead and see the view towards southeast Georgia. You see some heavier storms there northwest of Brunswick. Around Nahana, Thalman, getting into some heavy rain, some hail maybe mixing in there. Not showing up too much though. Maybe it's really heavy rain and lightning. That's adding up on the rain gauge though. Some areas closer to about 2 inches in the last hour, maybe 2.5 inches of rain. So you kind of get the idea as we continue to watch the scenario develop. So again, you can see here on Need More. Maybe a little bit of wind enhancement there. That's something to watch. I know we have some significant weather advisories toward areas there in southern Georgia. I have stuff toward Valdosta as well. Need More, they're saying gusts to 50. Valdosta, they're saying gusts to 40. As we watch some of that impending action come on into the picture. But the only warning right now in the area is for Tallahassee and toward Crawfordville. But really, maybe more toward Tallahassee. You see more lighting up in the northern areas and the southern, more frequent, more recent. But again, zooming in here really tight, you see what we're talking about here toward Tallahassee, toward FSU. Continuing to watch things. I know it looks like we have a little bit of maybe rotation trying to develop here. May just be some wind enhancement toward Capitola there. We'll go ahead and try to pop that on up. You can kind of see here some brighter colors here within the velocity. Maybe a little bit of something, but not too impressive, and that's the good news toward those areas there as we look toward the Big Bend. So we're just going to have to continue to watch, just have to continue to track things here on this, what's turned into a very long severe weather day with these scattered storms developing and becoming severe, many of them becoming severe here today across the area, causing for a lot of coverage to need to be provided here. I mean, we're looking at the time, we've covered this action for about 5 hours now. The better part of 5 hours here on all the different platforms to keep you guys ahead of things. All the different platforms like Facebook at Casey Cloud WX and Cloud Weather, Twitter at Cloud Casey, the auto alert at Cloud_WX, YouTube, you can search for meteorologist Casey Cloud if you want to watch coverage over there, maybe on Roku, the YouTube app there on Roku. I do it sometimes to look back at some of my coverage. You can watch it live there. Just search for meteorologist Casey Cloud and pop me right up and watch me on your Roku TV, something like that. And you have Twitch, meteorologist Casey Cloud over there. You can watch it over on that platform as well, and then cloudweather.com has all the different links on the home page, and then you can click on live. It says a covered map of the 62 counties here that we cover, and then you also have radar, which you can go over there and zoom in and get an interactive look at things to see what's going on across different parts of our viewing area, or different parts of the country for that matter when we're not on the air. You can see all that on the different platforms, of course. So, again, there they are. Just laying them out for you again here. We've done it a bunch today, but just want to kind of reiterate that. Subscribe on YouTube there. That's a great method to watch coverage for sure. But again, we're on all the different platforms. Of course, another thing, sometimes maybe one of the platforms goes down for a little bit. You used to watch me on the another platform. And this just gives you alternative options to do coverage here and watch coverage when you have a situation here that is a little bit more potent that you need to get coverage with. But then again, one of the platforms is unavailable to go to at the present time. So let's get back now to what we're tracking. Talking about the gust here, 39 miles an hour at 7:34 at the Tallahassee airport. You see some storminess there closer to Woodville. Again, radar kind of obscures the wind some. I mean, it looks more like winds about 40 in here. Seems like we would have got a report in the chat about maybe a gust on the FSU campus or one of the weather stems if this was a little more potent. So I kind of wonder if we actually are getting severe winds down to the surface. But another way to check that here is the poweratus.us map. So I'm going to go ahead and check that right now. I'll go ahead and pop that on up, see what we got. Got 3,028 customers in the dark and none in Leon as the last check, but obviously that could change. That's from about 25 minutes ago, so that could definitely change as we continue to watch things, continue to monitor the situation. Another thing we can do is check those live cameras. Let's see what we got in Northeast Tallahassee. I know it's a stormy night, definitely nasty weather on this Easter night for sure. But granted, is it severe or not? I mean, that has to meet certain criteria for that. Wind and hail. We've met that in some of these storms today. Now, this may not actually be meeting that, but it's still potent weather in the metro area, so you gotta always take it seriously as we're dealing with this situation. I know they're continuing to warn for parts of Leon and Wakulla until 8 o'clock here. Here to look at things. Let's pop this one up. This is going to be closer to ward. It looks like Northeast Tallahassee. Mile marker 210 there. So let's go ahead and switch on over. There's quite a bit of lightning in this area. Let me go ahead and see this shot here right now. Give you guys this perspective here, how things are looking outside. So you can definitely see how things are active. Maybe even a tow truck or something on the road. Hard to say, but again, just got to be really careful here. Maybe ambulance. It's hard to make out for sure, but definitely some different type of vehicles on the road here with these hazardous conditions in play. Maybe having to kind of help out some people in a situation like this with the stormy weather around. So again, you just have to be kind of careful. You see the different flashers on. I'm seeing that a bunch today. Again, looking here toward the east. As we're looking toward this area in Leon County. So again, you can definitely get the viewpoint here of how things are going. It definitely looks nasty out there with the reduced visibilities and that lightning around that rain. Depends on where you are, where the heaviest is, and depends on where you are for the heaviest wind as well. Got to bear that in mind here too. So again, just keeping our eyes on things as we're looking outside with some of these different visuals here. Again, looking out that window when you can't really look out that window sometimes when you have the bad weather around. It's not safe to do so, and this kind of gives you a little eye outside. So, just got an update on power outages now. Tallahassee Utilities is reporting to about 3,400 power outages. I mean, 3,400 customers in the dark. According to their outage map, their individual outage maps. So that is coming in. That is a little bit quicker than the aggregate that we were looking at here behind the scenes. That just came across in the chat. There are a little over 3,000 customers in the dark there. So that means we might start getting reports of trees down or things like that around Tallahassee with conditions like these here that are pretty nasty in nature. So again, this is looking near East Tallahassee, Northeast Tallahassee. You see the storminess around right now. Look at that lightning. That is dangerous, folks. Very dangerous lightning here. Remember, if you hear thunder, I mean, it's already stormy. You don't want to be outside, but if you hear thunder, that means you're close to be struck by lightning. And with outdoor events being a thing here on Easter, really don't want to be outside in these type of situations when you hear that thunder around. So, luckily, I haven't had that much around Stark today. I mean, a couple instances, but overall, we've stayed pretty lucky here around Stark so far. They're not over yet, and still got that threat, the marginal threat into tomorrow, so we'll continue to watch for that, obviously. But and you can go to closer.com/severe for a look at those outlooks here from the Storm Prediction Center. When we're not on the air, those outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center. I know you can see today's, tomorrow's air is pretty similar. Seeing maybe a little bit of that threat though in North Florida too. You don't want to just follow the outlooks. Just completely go by those because sometimes you do have things develop here in these type of scenarios that are a little bit more renegade in nature. So you got to bear that in mind as well. But we're going to keep on watching the different camera views here. Let's go back away from this. The latest update on the warning. You see what we're talking about with that polygon. The information that came in a moment ago at 7:48. Severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from 10 miles northeast of Tallahassee to Crawfordville, moving east at about 20 miles an hour. St. Mark's, Tallahassee, Crawfordville, Woodville, FAMU, Wakulla, the Railford Greenway area, Newport, Shadeville, Leon Sinks, the Gaither Community Center, Lake Munson, Wakulla Springs, Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Muskogee, 8 Mile Pond, Killarn Estates, Bethel, and the State Capitol Complex are under this warning. So I just got to be mindful here of what is happening. See some wind gusts about 45, it looks like, as we get here toward Mahan Drive. That's probably pretty close to where we're looking on that camera, actually. there a moment ago in northeast Tallahassee. So kind of giving you guys that visual here outside of how things are going with these pretty hazardous conditions. Maybe a little bit of wind enhancement here north of the community of McCullough there, to the northeast by a little ways of Crawfordville there down toward parts of McCullough County. So I'll have to see if we get a new warning issued toward the east. So just see how things are holding together here with the latest updates. You definitely maybe see even a little bit of rotation there to the east of Bradfordville. Nothing enough maybe any type of warning at this point, but a 46-mile-an-hour wind still out pretty low to the surface here. Again, toward Mahan Drive. Again, we're getting a little further away from the radar with the worst, so it's able to see things a little bit better now from the overall viewpoint that we're dealing with here. So, just trying to give you guys the latest update, trying to give you guys the latest information here. Seeing what other cameras we can get. I know we're right at sunset, so it'll be easier to see stuff now than if we wait much longer. So let me go ahead and show you guys another shot as we get further on out here. More lightning visible, as you'll be able to see here more than likely in just a second on this one. Definitely seeing some of that there. Some of it's more vivid than others with the strikes on the imagery, but I know we're just getting a report now as more lightning really comes in. A tree on a roadway there, North Meridian Road, south of McClay Road at 742. So, getting some of those damage reports in there from the Tallahassee area now. So that definitely is problematic. I mean, you just got to be really careful because you might encounter one of those. It gets dark, can't really see it. That can be not a good thing. So, got to be really careful in these type of situations. Again, this is a Baum Road area there. Mile marker 212, I-10, looking off toward the east. So, giving you guys a different perspective there. Pretty similar to what we were looking at earlier on. But again, hazardous conditions right here on the interstate. So, we'll go back and move away from this right now. Just trying to give you guys the different viewpoints here that we have in store for you right at sunset. See exactly what's happening. Always helpful to kind of get a look outside as we've talked about. Just trying to see how things are progressing here. Just trying to give you guys the imagery, and some of these are almost too hard to make out depending on the shots. Sometimes just not getting a good view of things, but kind of get the idea. We just have to kind of pick and choose our spots here. You know, getting some nasty lightning on some of these. It's a little further to the west, but we'll go ahead and pop it up. Give you guys a viewpoint here. Let's pop this up. This is mile marker 205. I know it almost looks like maybe low-hanging power lines. I'm not sure if that's the way the camera shot is taking things or not, but definitely could have some issues with low-hanging power lines with those power outage reports coming on, and it may just be the way the shot is, though. Not 100% sure, but you kind of get the idea. Low-hanging some type of lines. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what we're talking about here, but you kind of get the idea. Just trying to give you guys the different visuals out here this evening with the lightning around. So again, going to go ahead and move away from that now. Just trying to show you guys how things are going outside. Still seeing lightning, even if I look off further to the west, I mean toward Thomasville Road, you see the lightning. Just seeing what else we're looking at here on the cameras. I know I've got the report of the tree around North Meridian. Definitely seeing some nastier weather. Don't see anything like that on shots I put up so far, but obviously there's plenty of areas that aren't covered by cameras. But I mean, just looking here, the roads definitely do look pretty rough out there this evening. So gotta bear that in mind as we continue with this coverage. That tornado warning, by the way, Mississippi went away, but still we had this warning in our area, and that's why we're on the air. So, and it looks like a new warning just coming down from the Weather Service, folks. They're concerned enough with this pixel here in Leon County. These pixels here within the radar scans, they've gone ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Jefferson County now, all the way until 9 o'clock here, folks. So a long fused warning for parts of Jefferson County now. You see they've issued for the whole county pretty much. Jefferson until 9, including Monticello and Dills and Cody and Lamont and Nass and Thomas City, Drifton, Casablanca there, Wakena, Wassissa Springs, Lake Muskogee, Fincher, Goose Pasture there, Festus, Acela, Caps, Lois. You kind of get the idea. All these communities under a new warning now until 9 o'clock. Another severe thunderstorm warning on probably one of the busiest days we've had all year for severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. I mean, it's not supposed to be a day where part of an area went under a severe risk, part of it under a marginal. Maybe you get a 2 or 3 warning, something like that. Maybe you end up getting 4 or 5 if things start to develop out toward the west like they are now. But ended up getting both areas to really explode with warnings here today. More damaging weather in terms of the hail and severe potential ended up being so far off towards St. Johns County. But of course, we're still waiting for more reports like of wind damage to come in, like what we saw toward North Meridian Road and South McClay. South McClay Road, there's 742 with a tree on the roadway. So between that and that pixel there, we were seeing within the radar a new warning now being issued to 9 o'clock for Jefferson County. It's pretty much the whole county included there. I think it is. The way they drew this might have excluded a couple little spots, something like that, but pretty much the whole county under a warning. You don't see that very often anymore. They changed the way they do these many years ago, the Weather Service did, where you generally don't have a whole county included unless it needs to be. But in this case, the forecaster, the meteorologist on duty that issues these warnings here, has determined, and it's an experienced one, has determined here that the whole county needs to be under a severe thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock. So, again, going to continue to watch things very carefully here as this moves out of Leon and Wakulla and goes into toward Jefferson. I know we're thinking maybe a couple hours to cover, something like that here and there, but we've been on for the better part of 5 hours or so. We've covered now the severe weather threat on all the different platforms to keep your friends and your family safe. We've now reached that 8 o'clock time benchmark there. So definitely something that's interesting. And in fact, our models have not handled this all that great. But we'll see if we can give you guys an idea of what to expect here as we get later on in the timeline now. So I'll pop up that system real quick. Let me go ahead and run that down. So make sure we get it to 8. It's doing okay at this point, I guess. But still could do better. It's going to be the H triple R. So let me go ahead and punch it up. You got to see what we're talking about here. Let me go ahead and get our super one. So if anybody's just tuning in, you guys realize this is just a model run here, folks. And this isn't anything that is live. So you can see that's 9, 10. You see stuff towards Swanee River Valley. We could have warnings out hanging around about midnight or so. We'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully they weaken out enough. We don't have to have warnings issued by the Jacksonville office. But you see a weakening, but then maybe another wave coming through around 2 or 3 a.m. Maybe a squall line developing, moving toward Tallahassee again. And then you see that, and then it kind of breaks down closer toward sunrise, though. Then we started to get more storms to develop around north central Florida before we see a break in the action. And then maybe we'll be able to see a break for a while. We could end up having more later on, though, with a marginal risk in play, just depending on how we see things with the overall profiles there. So that gets you out about 12 noon tomorrow with that forecast model run. But again, they've been really jumping around on it, so you just never know what could happen in these type of situations. Again, just going between all of our different sources. So let me bounce back over to this one right now, see what else we have for you, see what else we need to give you guys here in the coverage as we continue to stick with you for now. At some point, I might go ahead and wrap it up, and this Jefferson's a pretty rural area. May just go ahead with the warning being that long to use. You might go ahead and just wrap it up and then kind of play it by ear to see if we need to come back on based on the different radar trends, because still haven't had that many severe reports here out of this for what you can sometimes get around Tallahassee. Still got to be careful, though, in the ward part of Jefferson County area. So I know entire part of Jefferson County under this. So gotta be watching things. Gotta be tracking things. It's about 12,452 people under that, and then 8 schools, no hospitals there, according to the NWS Tallahassee statistics there. So, looking at power outage numbers in Florida, we have 5,535 customers in the. Go ahead and pop this one up here toward our power outage.us map, and you see Leon now. We'll jump over there. We heard about some of those outages, and you see them on this map. 2,459 customers in the dark in Leon County now. So I'm seeing some of those numbers start to be represented here on this mapping. Again, this power outage.us map there. You see Jefferson, none. Taylor, none so far. Madison, none. But that could change over the next little bit. A few outages still. Marion, and then toward St. John's, Flagler, see a few as well. Of course, with all the hail down toward St. John's County earlier on. That's definitely something to be mindful of. But again, we'll go back on in now. This doesn't look as impressive to me, but I know the radar scans were showing some higher velocity pixels in there. And this accent could be moving closer toward Monticello over the next little bit. So let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have here toward Jefferson County. You can see 45-mile-an-hour winds, give or take, as we get still in Leon for now, but moving into Jefferson here, it looks like with this. Let me double check my lines. Sometimes get a little confused between all the different lines we have today, but 45-mile-an-hour winds there, just south of Muskogee, maybe around. Looks like Veterans Memorial Drive. You kind of get the idea. This moves toward Monticello over the next few minutes. So this is a heads up. If you're around Monticello, some pretty strong winds could be coming in, even if the reflectivity doesn't show it as much on the radar beam here. So we'll continue to watch all of that. I tell you what we're going to do here. If we don't get any things that really kind of make me need to stay on here, I'll probably wrap this up in a few minutes, just because we've been on for so long here, and the threat is a little more isolated, I think, in terms of that wind damage potential, and it's moving in a more sparsely populated area here. So some different things in the right direction, trending that way still, I think. But we'll give another radar scan or two. We're on. We don't go on for all of the thunderstorm warnings. I've been on for most of them today, but this is a little bit more of a long fused warning for an area that's a little more sparsely populated, and the wind potential is not extreme, but still 45-mile-an-hour winds, 48-mile-an-hour winds are showing up pretty apparently on the radar. I feel like that's more the type of wind you would get. But I could still knock down a tree or two toward Monticello here in Jefferson County, and you got to still be aware of that potential. So again, when we're not on the area, you have cloudweather.com, and I'll go ahead and pop that information up for you guys. Again, the website's cloudweather.com, and you can go to the radar tab there and look at the interactive mapping there. Zoom in, zoom out. You also have auto alerts that'll give you the updates if they update the warnings here as they come on down from the Weather Service, the different polygons as they get trimmed back, things like that. So that's something to keep our eyes out for. If we get new warnings, we'll kind of play it by ear to see how we need to come back on if we get them, depending on where they are. Obviously, we always come on for any tornado warning within one of the 62 county areas. So, again, just got to be mindful of that. We'll be on for that potential here if that does arise. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll be watching. We'll be tracking things for you. See, here's some wind potential, 48 miles an hour. South of Muskogee, Old Magnolia Road, and again toward Monticello, maybe just north of Monticello even, but it could be coming right into Monticello as we look over the next little bit there. US 90 could end up seeing some pretty gusty winds there. I've been on that road before. Trying to take a shortcut, I think, home from FSU there. I remember that one time, but you kind of get the idea as we look back there. Again, watching the scenario as it does evolve. So again, just continuing to track things. We had to gust to 39 early. We had to 1 reported the tree down on North Meridian Road, south of McClay Road. But honestly, if this was a really, really potent storm, we'd be getting several trees knocked down and more than just a few thousand power outages. So still have that potential toward Jefferson. It seems like the storm's not quite maybe as strong here at points of it, but the downburst signature obviously is the renegade thing, but then you have these other areas of wind enhancement popping up from time to time with those winds to about maybe 50 miles an hour, which really not necessarily would require a severe warning. By the way, we just got a new watch issued toward the west here to see this. It's in our area, but it does include part of the far western Florida panhandle. So let's go ahead and see what we're doing there toward the western Florida panhandle at midnight central time. Severe thunderstorm watching play up there, so we'll have to just kind of see how the MCS progresses as it kind of moves along here in the view. I know as we look at some of the different models, that's what our model run was showing there, about 4 a.m. or so coming across. That could be severe. Might end up having some more, that kind of hold in. Hopefully the instability values will be reduced enough to kind of limit that, but I wouldn't bet against it here with what we've seen today, because that's actually probably a more organized line in the modeling than we've seen on these other areas, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily translate to severe weather potential. So let me go back on over right now. Let's go back on over toward the mapping here. We'll continue to watch things, continue to track things for you. Brunswick area, we got a note in from the Weather Service. Strong storms of heavy rainfall and frequent lightning headed into the Brunswick area, and expect these storms to continue through at least 10 p.m. and could see some minor localized street flooding, and especially with upcoming high tide peaking around 10 o'clock. So that could cause some issues there in Ward Glen County. Could result in some type of flood advisory or flash flood warning scenario evolving on us here. We'll just have to wait and see. So, again, trying to give you guys the latest updates on everything that transpires here. Just see how things end up developing towards some of these different communities here of the viewing area. Now, there is a significant weather advisory for that heavy rainfall there as we get further off toward southeastern Georgia, at least as we get toward Nahunta and Thalman and some of those communities here as I go looking at some of our statements here that are in play from the different offices of the Weather Service, the office in Jacksonville, the office in Tallahassee. Just have to kind of keep our eyes on things. But no, it's even some hail down toward west central Florida there as we look down toward the Davenport area. At least dime size hail earlier on, so that's kind of interesting to see as we get down there. Definitely interesting information to receive there out of the Tampa office chat room. That's from Bay News 9 there, but again, you see some storminess down even towards central Florida, not severe necessarily, but again, we'll continue to watch, we'll continue to track. I'm going to wrap it up for now because that action seems to be kind of leaving that Leon-McCullough area, that warning going only for another 5 minutes and then moving more toward Jefferson. We have more storms that could evolve, and we'll play it by ear. If we need to be back on, of course we will, on all of our different platforms here from the Weather Center. But if we need to just maybe post a battle warning, something like that here, then we can do that on Facebook at Casey Cloud WX and at Cloud Weather, and then Twitter at Cloud Casey. The auto alerts like a thunderstorm warning coming out right when it comes out. It goes across there at Cloud_WX on Twitter. The automated alerts there. That'll provide you the latest, but still a severe thunderstorm warning in play for parts of Leon-McCullough for another 4 or 5 minutes, but then all of Jefferson under a threat to 9. Make sure you're inside, away from windows with a severe thunderstorm warning in play. That lightning threat there, the downpour threat there in other areas too, but then the wind threat there toward Jefferson County, maybe some 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's what the warning's for right now, more of that straight line wind potential out there. We'll keep you updated as needed. Stay tuned, everybody, and stay safe.